My name is Daniel Hart. I'm 39. I teach high school English in Portland, Oregon. Yeah, not exactly a power job, but I love it. I like helping kids find their voice. I also coach track. Simple life. Honest work. At least I thought my life was simple. My wife's name is Emily. We met at a university mixer 15 years ago. She was everything I wasn't. Loud, charismatic, always the center of attention. I was the steady one. She liked that, or pretended to. She started her own little wedding planning business 5 years back. Did well. Portland's full of couples who'll spend small fortunes to have their perfect, rustic chic ceremony. I was proud of her. Bragged about her to everyone. Maybe I should have paid more attention. Started 6 months ago. Emily began working late, a lot. Not unusual during wedding season, I thought. But the late-night texts began too. Phone always face down. New lingerie I hadn't seen her wear for me. And when I asked about it, stop being so suspicious. You know how stressful this job is. I backed off. I trusted her. Or wanted to. Then one night, after a long parent-teacher conference, I came home early. Her laptop was open on the kitchen island. A notification pinged. I'm not proud of what I did next. But I clicked. And there it was. A chat thread with someone saved as M. Explicit messages. Photos. Plans. Can't wait to taste you again. When's Dan gone next? We'll have the whole house. The last one? He's such a sweet puppy. Never suspects a thing. I froze. Heart racing. I clicked further. Months of messages. Meetups at hotels. Even once in my own damn house. And the name? Martin. Martin Wolf. Not just some random. One of the grooms from a wedding she'd planned 6 months ago. Now divorced and clearly all over my wife. I sat there until sunrise. Didn't wake her. Didn't confront her. Because by morning I'd made a decision. I wasn't going to shout. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to ruin her perfect little world, brick by brick. First, I copied everything. Messages. Photos. Screenshots of calendar entries where she'd blocked out time with fake client names. Then I called my cousin Lauren, a private investigator. Told her everything. She didn't even hesitate. We'll nail this. But Dan, if you're going for revenge, make it smart. Make it clean. Make it hurt. I nodded. That's exactly what I want. Lauren's team got to work. Turns out Emily and Martin weren't just screwing around. They had a plan. Emily had been siphoning money from our joint account, setting up a personal savings account in a separate credit union. And Martin? He was pressuring her to ditch the teacher husband and move in with him once his own messy divorce finalized. They were laughing about it. We'll sell the house, take his cut. He'll never fight me on it. He's too soft. They thought I'd roll over. Sweet puppy Dan. No, Emily. Not this time. I began phase 1, legal prep. I froze our joint accounts. Shifted my direct deposit to a new one in my name only. Met with a divorce lawyer sharp as a knife. Laid out the evidence. She smiled. We'll bury her. Phase 2, social exposure. Emily's whole wedding business thrived on reputation. Glowing reviews. Word of mouth. Trusted planner. Lauren's team compiled a beautiful little video package. Photos of Emily and Martin at hotels. Time-stamped texts. Even security footage from one boutique hotel lobby. Them kissing like horny teenagers. I sent it anonymously to every wedding vendor she worked with. Caterers. Florists. Venues. Vendors talk. Fast. By the end of that week, Emily's phone was blowing up. I could hear it vibrating through the walls. She started freaking out. Pacing the house. Shouting into her phone. No, I don't know where this came from. Someone's trying to ruin me. Yes, someone was. Me. But the final blow was still to come. Because phase 3 was personal. Very personal. Emily and I were scheduled to attend her sister's wedding in 2 weeks. A big family affair. Everyone she wanted to impress. Martin wasn't invited. Family hated him. But Emily had planned a secret meetup during the wedding weekend. How did I know? Lauren's trackers had caught the hotel booking under Martin's name. 2 nights. Sweet. And guess what? I had the room number. And a plan. As I sat in my car that night, planning it all out, one thought kept circling in my mind. You called me a sweet puppy. Now I'm the wolf at your door. And soon you'll see what that means. Emily had no idea I knew. She floated through the next 2 weeks like nothing was wrong. Smiling, humming around the kitchen, pretending to care about napkin colors for her sister's wedding. A performance worthy of an Oscar. I played along, did the dishes, kissed her forehead, told her how proud I was of her strength. And all the while, I watched her dig herself deeper. Lauren, my cousin, kept me updated. Emily was still meeting Martin. Only now more cautiously. She'd started using Cash, changed her chat app Signal instead of iMessage, created an alias email to book the hotel for the wedding weekend. None of it mattered. Lauren's team had cloned her burner phone. Every message, every emoji-laced fantasy landed right in my inbox. One text stood out. Emily, after the wedding, I want to tell him. He'll be upset, but it's time. Martin, why wait? Just end it. He's a grown man, not a child. Emily, because his family will be there. I don't want drama. Let me control the story. Martin, you're already controlling him, babe. He's in the palm of your hand. Palm of your hand. That one hit different. That was when I decided the reveal wouldn't just be private. It would be surgical, public, permanent. Emily's sister's wedding was at a winery in Hood River, 2 hours from Portland. Scenic, classy. Her family was well off and they'd spared no expense. Emily had planned every detail of the wedding herself as a gift. Her final, perfect display of control. The guest list was packed, 150 people. Doctors, bankers, socialites, Emily's image-building goldmine. And on the schedule? A toast. By her. During the rehearsal dinner. Perfect. The night before the wedding, we arrived at the winery's attached hotel. She was radiant, energized, kept touching her phone like it was a hidden treasure. Martin had checked in an hour earlier. Different wing of the hotel. Different name on the reservation. Lauren had eyes on him too, a photographer stationed down the hall. Everything was in place. That evening, I stood in front of the mirror in our suite, adjusting my tie as Emily buzzed around the room. She caught my eye and smiled. Soft content. You've always been my calm, she said. Even now, when I'm nervous. I wanted to laugh. But I just said, you'll do great. Everyone's going to see the real you tonight. She kissed my cheek. I hope so. Oh, they would. At the rehearsal dinner, candlelight flickered. Wine flowed. Laughter echoed across long farm tables dressed in eucalyptus garlands. Then came the moment. Emily stood, tapped her glass, lifted her microphone. Tonight, I just want to say how proud I am to be part of this family. Love is a sacred thing. It deserves honesty, faithfulness. I could barely hear her over the blood pounding in my ears. My hand went into my coat pocket, pulled out the flash drive. I walked over to the projector setup, the one she'd insisted on for a photo montage. Plugged it in. Took the mic from the event coordinator. Sorry to interrupt. I have a surprise of my own. Something Emily forgot to include in her speech. The screen behind her lit up. It started with a text. Can't wait to feel your hands on me again. He never touches me like you do. Then another. After the wedding, I'll tell him. We'll be free. Then a photo. Hotel mirror selfie. Emily in lingerie I'd never seen. Then more. Footage. Screenshots. Dates. Her face, illuminated by the images behind her, collapsed into something brittle. Gasps erupted. Someone dropped a fork. Her sister stood. Emily, what the hell is this? Emily's voice cracked. No, this isn't. This is fake. I stepped forward, calm. It's not fake. It's who she really is. I looked straight into the crowd. I'm Daniel Hart, Emily's husband. Or was. Tonight is her grand finale. Then I walked away. Left her standing there in front of everyone she'd ever tried to impress, stripped bare by truth. I drove back to the city alone in silence. Not out of sorrow. Out of release. The sweet burn of justice lingered like whiskey in my throat. This was only the beginning. The fallout was immediate. By the time I reached the city, my phone was already lighting up messages from friends, former in-laws, even a few of Emily's past clients who somehow got wind of what happened. Apparently, one of the bridesmaids had filmed the whole thing and posted it to a private Instagram story. Private. That's cute. Screenshots leaked within the hour. By morning, it was local gossip. By afternoon, it was online wedding blog material. Planner's affair exposed during sister's wedding toast. Catchy headline. More accurate than anything Emily had ever put in a brochure. I didn't respond to any of the calls. Not even from her parents. especially not from Emily. She tried, of course. Over and over. Dan, please. I messed up, but we can fix this. It was a mistake. I wasn't thinking. Martin meant nothing. Every message sounded like she was talking to someone she still thought she had control over. She didn't. I'd already filed the divorce papers. Lauren hand-delivered them 2 days later while Emily was still hiding in her hotel suite, trying to figure out if she could recover. Spoiler alert. She couldn't. Word spread through the vendor community like wildfire. The local florist she worked with dropped her. The photographer she'd partnered with for years blocked her number. Even venues blacklisted her, especially the winery. They'd poured thousands into that wedding only to have it remembered as the night the maid of honor was outed as a cheater in front of 150 guests and a 3-tier cake. Nobody wants the kind of press. Especially not in wedding country. Emily's reputation was dead. And unlike a marriage, you can't legally recover a brand name from public shame. As for Martin? Well, he got his own flavor of pain. See, Lauren's team had also dug into his divorce case. Turns out his ex-wife was still in arbitration and the adultery clause was pending. Once the video from the wedding surfaced, she refiled with a vengeance. I mailed her a copy myself, no return address. She used it. Cleaned him out. So now, not only was Martin a social pariah, he was broke and blackballed from the only professional network he had, the same one Emily had tried to use to climb. The two of them had wanted a new life. Now they were stuck with each other, alone and radioactive. Meanwhile, I wasn't just surviving. I was reclaiming. I moved out of our house, sold it 3 weeks after the papers were filed. Bought a smaller place in the northeast side of town, older, quirkier. Felt more like me. The walls held no memories. And that was the point. I spent the first few weekends restoring furniture.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing experience, but we really need your support, namely a subscription to the channel, which can make it possible to hire a professional voice actor and make the best content for you.
Listening to old records. Sanding things down to the grain. Funny thing, the sound of something broken being made whole again is strangely peaceful. It's patient work. Steady. Honest. A lot like I used to be. Still am. Just smarter now. One night, about a month after the wedding incident, I got a knock at the door. I looked through the peephole. Emily. Standing there in jeans and a hoodie, no makeup, no jewelry, no presents. I opened the door but didn't speak. She looked up at me. Eyes puffy. Voice low. You don't have to say anything. I just needed you to see me like this. Not dressed up. Not polished. Just ruined. I waited. She stepped back as if expecting me to invite her in. I didn't. You did what you had to do, she whispered. I don't blame you. I just wanted you to know. I lost everything. She looked at the ground. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For real this time. I nodded once. Okay, I said. Then closed the door. Not because I hated her, but because I didn't need her apology. This wasn't about closure. It was about conclusion. I didn't speak to her again, but I did hear through mutuals that she moved back in with her parents. No clients. No work. No Martin either. He bailed as soon as the heat got too strong. Turns out their connection was only fun when it was in secret. When it became real, when life got cold, he disappeared. Poetic. I, on the other hand, was warming back up. I started running again. Picked up a part-time creative writing class at the local community college. I wrote a short story called The Toast. Didn't publish it. Didn't need to. Just wrote it to remind myself that truth always finds its way into the light. And when it does, it burns. The thing no one tells you about betrayal is how quiet it gets after. Not empty, just quiet. After all the rage dies down, after the tears stop, after the adrenaline of revenge wears off, you're left with silence. And the question, now what? For a while, I didn't have an answer. I taught. I ran. I cooked for one. That silence? It wasn't haunting. It was healing. Like the pause between notes in a good song where the quiet means something. Then one day, I was grading essays at a coffee shop in northeast Portland when someone sat across from me without asking. She had dark hair, a camera slung across her chest, and a confidence that didn't ask permission. You're Dan, right? You teach at Ridgeview. I looked up. Blinked. Yeah, and you are? She smiled. Leah. My niece is in your class. Said you actually read their stories like they matter. Thought I'd see what the legend looked like. Ballsy. Blunt. Completely different than what I'd known. I like that. We talked for hours. She was a freelance photojournalist, did shoots for small publications, some international work. Didn't care about weddings or social ladders or what type of wine to serve with oysters. By the end of the night, I realized I hadn't thought about Emily once. Leah and I started slow. She was often gone on shoots, sometimes off-grid for a week. But when she was around, she was present in a way I'd forgotten people could be. She didn't ask about my past until I brought it up a few months in over Thai food and rainy glass windows. I told her everything. The cheating. The reveal. The gala of shame. The silence afterward. She didn't flinch. Didn't gasp or pity me. She nodded. You did the right thing. Most people fantasize about justice. You actually stood up and made it happen. Then she added, You ever write it down? I paused. Sort of. A short story. Nothing big. She smiled. Send it to me. Stories matter. I did. She read it. Told me it made her cry. Then she told me I wasn't done. You've got something to say. People should hear it. Write more. So I did. Not about Emily, not directly, but about what betrayal does, how it bends people, how it burns and refines. I wrote characters like me. Characters like the version of me that almost broke. And people read it. Liked it. Connected. Turns out, a lot of folks know what it feels like to be lied to by someone you trusted most. Turns out, revenge stories, real ones, don't have to end in blood. They can end in rebirth. Meanwhile, I watched from a distance as Emily's life shrunk. A mutual acquaintance told me she tried to restart her business under a new name. Didn't work. The wedding world has a long memory. She'd burned the wrong bridges. Now she was trapped on her own island. I didn't gloat. Didn't even care, really. What was more satisfying than watching her fall was watching me rise. Leah and I took a road trip that fall all the way down the coast to Big Sur. Somewhere between Crater Lake and Mendocino, I looked at her, hair up, feet on the dash, camera on her lap, and I realized something. I was happier in that moment than I'd ever been in my marriage. And not because of revenge, but because I'd found truth. And this time, I hadn't let it slip away. The difference between who I was and who I am now. Before, I needed to be someone's anchor. Now I am my own. And that's the kind of man who doesn't get betrayed again. A year had passed since the wedding. 12 months since I walked away from Emily standing in front of that crowd. Her life unraveling in real time. Felt like another lifetime. Not because I'd forgotten, you don't forget that kind of betrayal. But because my world had changed so completely since then. Leah had become a constant in my life. Not in a clinging, codependent way, but a solid way. She traveled often. But when she was home, we carved out our own small world. Coffee runs, photo walks, quiet dinners where we didn't need to fill every silence. She knew when to talk and when not to. She saw the bruises even when I wasn't showing them. One rainy Sunday, while we read on the couch, she closed her book and looked over at me. You ever wonder why you didn't just leave quietly? Why you had to expose it? I thought about it. Because she counted on my silence. Because she mocked me in the dark and smiled at me in the light. Because some truths deserve to be told. Loudly. Leah smiled softly. That's why I like you. You didn't burn her out of spite. You burned her because justice sometimes demands flame. And in that moment I knew she got it. In a way Emily never had, never could. Meanwhile, the waves from that night still rippled through Portland's wedding circles. Vendors remembered. Venues still refused her. Some clients still whispered. I heard she tried to pivot to lifestyle coaching. Didn't stick. You can rebrand a business. You can't rebrand your soul when too many people have seen what's under the surface. One night, an old mutual friend reached out. Someone who used to double date with us back in the day. Hey, I know it's none of my business, but she's not doing great. Her folks cut her off. Martin's long gone. She's working retail now. Says she can't get her footing. I read the message twice. Did I feel pity? No. Did I feel triumph? Also no. What I felt was nothing. And that's when I knew I'd truly moved on. Around that same time, my writing had picked up momentum. An editor friend of Leah's helped me get a few essays published about trust, betrayal, resilience. They resonated. One email stuck with me. Your story helped me walk away from a toxic marriage. Thank you for showing it can be done with dignity. That mattered more than any applause at a wedding could have. Leah and I took another road trip in the fall. This time to Montana, wide open spaces, no cell signal, just wind and mountains. One night under a sky so thick with stars it didn't seem real, I asked her, "You think I'm still carrying it? The weight of what happened?" She thought for a moment. "No, I think you're carrying the lesson. That's different." And damn if that wasn't the best way I'd ever heard it put. Back home, I found an envelope in my mailbox one afternoon. No return address, but the handwriting was familiar. Emily. I almost tossed it, but curiosity won. Inside was a single page. "Dan, there's nothing I can say that will undo what I did. I still wake up with that night in my head. You didn't deserve it. You didn't deserve me. I hope you found happiness. I hope you found someone who knows how to keep it. I'm sorry." I folded the letter, put it in a drawer. Didn't respond. Didn't need to. Her chapter in my life was closed. I wasn't going to give her a sequel. Some betrayals mark you, but they don't have to define you. I'd rebuilt my life one brick at a time, not perfect, but mine. And the man I was now? I was stronger, sharper, wiser. Most of all, I was free. It's been 2 years since the night I torched the lie we used to call a marriage. And somehow it doesn't even sting anymore when I say her name in my head. Emily. A woman I once loved. A name I once wore like armor. Yeah? Just syllables with no teeth. Life didn't just move on, it deepened. Leah and I still kept things simple. No ring. No pressure. But a bond stronger than anything paper ever signed. We shared Sundays. Shared silences. Shared the kind of peace that doesn't need to be explained. She called it grown love. I called it finally right. One afternoon in early spring, I gave a talk at a local bookshop. The topic was resilience through story. 10 people showed up. Then 20. By the end of the hour, I looked out into a room full of people nodding. Not because my words were fancy, but because my wounds were honest. They saw their own scars and mine. And for the first time in my life, I realized the worst thing that ever happened to me became the thing that finally made me whole. After the talk, an older man waited until the crowd cleared. He didn't say much. Just this. "Thank you." I almost swallowed my truth to protect someone who destroyed me. "I won't anymore." We shook hands. He left, but I stood there for a long time after. Not proud. Not sad. Just still. That kind of still that comes only when a part of you finally, truly lets go. Later that year, Leah got a photo assignment in Italy. 6 weeks. She asked if I'd come for part of it. I booked a flight without hesitation. The first time I stepped out into Rome's sun-drenched chaos, I laughed out loud. Because this was the exact life Emily used to say I wasn't built for. The kind of life she thought I'd never grow into without her leading the way. Turns out I just needed the right kind of partner. Or maybe I just needed myself. We stayed in a small flat above a cafe. Drank bitter espresso in the morning. Shared a bed that creaked when we laughed too hard. There was no weight of the past there. Only light. Only motion. We were both too old for fairy tales and just young enough to write our own anyway. One night in Florence, Leah asked me what I'd say if I could go back to that version of me from 2 years ago, the man who found the messages, who couldn't sleep, who thought his life had crumbled beyond repair. I took a sip of wine, stared out over the lights stretching across the Arno River. Then I answered. I'd tell him not to flinch. I'd tell him the pain won't kill you, it'll clear you. And one day, the people who tried to humiliate you will choke on your peace. She didn't say anything, just reached across the table and took my hand. And I realized something else. I didn't need revenge anymore. I'd outgrown it. Because peace isn't just a lack of war. It's the life you build in the ruins. And mine was beautiful. We flew home. I went back to teaching. Still wrote when the nights were long. Still ran along the riverside path where the wind off the water reminded me I was alive fully, freely, finally. Sometimes I see old photos. The version of me with Emily. The smiling, blind man in the background. I don't hate him. I just thank him for surviving. For staying upright when the storm hit. For having the spine to face it with eyes wide open. Because that man? He gave birth to this one. And this man? He knows something now. Something unshakable. No one can destroy you if you know who you are when the lights go out. And when the lights come back on, you'll see who still deserves to stand next to you. So here I am. No spotlight. No applause. Just a quiet house. A solid heart. And a story that finally ends the way it should. Not with fire, but with light.
What do you think of the story? Write in the comments.